better known as Ricky Venbo, depending on what time frame you met me in my life. Wally was a dear friend of mine. We met as Lynx Achievers. We served at Hughes Aircraft as interns, and I just learned so much about Wally. But as I kind of kick off the story of how he impacted my life, I wanted to ask a question, or at least pose the number of definitions that define a friend. It's a confidant, it's my dog, my road dog, my man, my boy. However you define it, however you categorize it, Wally checked every box. Every box. And he had the superpower to meet you where you were at as a friend. So whatever you needed, he showed up in that capacity. And that is one thing that I will always carry with me as it relates to Wally. And he did it with a genuineness and an infectious smile that you could not deny of just meeting him where he was. He made you comfortable in your skin. And as I think about all the travels that we've encountered and all the things that we did, one thing that stands out is we made a trip from LA to Atlanta, Georgia. I think it was 1990, it was actually 1990. I was going to my senior year at Howard while I was going to his senior year at Morehouse. And he had this little white CRX Honda. We packed up 2 room trunks in a little CRX. And if you knew Wally back then, it was beer and skull chewing. Again, Wally meets you where you are and makes you comfortable with, what he's doing. We loaded up with some beer. We pre-gamed before we got on the road. Skull chewing tobacco, high as a kite, and on the road. We made it to, actually we got interrupted in our trip. We made it to Birmingham, Alabama in 33 and a half hours. Wow. Non-stop. But along that way, again, just the genuineness, the adventure that Wally had just resonated. But he is a guidance counselor, confidant, trusted advisor, but everything that you look for in a friend, Wally absolutely checked all those boxes. And I was just gonna say, if you had to define like those top 3 people that you have in your Rolodex, at any given moment, who could you call on? I think by a show of hands, Wally would be in those top 3 of people that you would call hands down. He is just that impactful, just that genuine, just that smart, just that informed, truly a legend, leaving a legacy. And I would be remiss, Mackie, if I didn't say that the qualities that we all admire in Wally, he identified in you from day one. And I appreciate you for just being there for my dear friend, welcoming me as his friend, and I am just grateful to be considered part of the Cathey family, the Cathey ethos, and continue to be here for you whenever you need. So I'll now turn it over to Greg Thomas, who can probably share more stories about our dear friend, Walter Cathey.
All right.
Actually, I have so many stories I could share. 90% of them, everybody would be rolling in their chair and probably inappropriate. But first of all, let me say how grateful I am to be here. When you get a chance to honor people's life, you get a chance to see how people show up. And I was talking with Cameron Terry, friend and classmate back there, and people show up. You know who you are at weddings and funerals. The people that you care about most, they're gonna show up. And the people that care about you are gonna show up. And so, in preparation for this, I feel like I've been preparing for this for years. But today is the day. And I'm so glad when I looked at the heading, it was a celebration, because this man's life, every aspect of him, from the smile you see on the program up to the second you met him, the way he shook your hand, and the way that he took you in and made you feel in the moment from the very first time you met him, it was fantastic. It was spectacular. And I thank God that I have the honor to speak to it. Because I met him when we were 14. He had an afro. I was like, who is this dude showing up? I'm like, Red Fox with an afro out here playing football. And then I saw him hit people. And he was laughing. And I was like, oh, okay. That's who he is. I was reading I was sharing with Herm on the way over here, Proverbs 17:17. A friend loves at all times. A brother is built for adversity. I had to read it multiple times because I'm like, that's him. He showed up as a friend. Bimbo talked about being a confidant. He showed up in every single way you needed him, whether we were fighting, drinking, playing football. But if there was a presentation that needed to be had, while he was up front, he was going to be prepared. He was going to be excellent in everything he did. Pastor Sauls, I had the pleasure of talking to him last night, and he asked me two really good questions. Number one was, how did Wally impact you? I was like, do you ever get in really solid questions that you're like, that's it right there. And I knew how he impacted me. Joy, grace, acceptance. Whenever you were in front of him, it was you and him against whatever was in front of you. If it was fun, if it was foe, no matter what it was, he was shoulder to shoulder with you all the time. He impacted me in such a way, he made decisions look easy. I was telling Bimbo, as all of us are stammering through our 20s trying to figure it out, this dude is lasered in. I meet her, I'm marrying her. This is what I'm doing. I'm going to go sell real estate. I'm going to go be great at what I do. I'm going to have kids. And everything he did, it looked effortless. It looked effortless because he had a purpose and a clarity in everything he did. From the bride that he chose to how he treated her every day. I saw one of the last visits where he was coherent. There was a picture that I have. He was holding her hand, rubbing her hand. He couldn't communicate verbally, but every time I saw him, I learned something. I learned how to love. I learned how to take care of people. I always learned how to show up, always. And the magnitude of watching somebody love another human being and you can't tell them. He rubbed her hand. He rubbed her hand and I was like, man, how, even when you can't speak, this dude is here, loving his wife. And the way that she took care of him is supreme. Yeah. Supreme. Yeah. She is deserving of a standing ovation. Yes. He's deserving of a standing ovation. I'm not gonna make you cry, you know. But I will say this as I get ready to wrap it up. We don't get a chance to see sermons lived out. I'm here to tell you, when you look at his life, the way that he showed up for people, and we're gonna hear from the next two phases, that's gonna be a theme. The way that he loved people, loved you standing right in front of him, was fantastic. And to me, this gathering right here embodies, and we can't even capture what a unbelievable